I just had to put that out there. Going back to Star Wars, though, there is a sense in which
Oh.
your the universe itself
Mhm.
has these different things about it, right? They can be mysterious elements, they cannot, but there has to be some level of quote unquote ground rules, right?
Mhm.
Where those powers, even if they're somewhat mysterious, you have to know to some degree how they work or interact with the world that they live in, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so for the Force, right, the Force is this supernatural power that everyone knows the Jedi and the Sith draw on to then gain some of their power, whether that's their agility or their ability to wield their lightsaber or their ability to force push people or shoot lightning bolts or whatever it is. That is all drawn from the Force, right? And there is some understanding of balance there, and what balance is the thing they're trying to achieve. It's not super explained, but there are these general rules, right? And
Mhm.
that's part of that world building, that you create a world that has its own set of rules for each of the unique things about it.
Mhm.
And the one of the problems with the later Star Wars movies is that they have a preset world that has some level of rules to it and then just start going haywire. So
Mhm.
they have examples of Mace Windu and these other people who are the extremely skilled individuals, or Anakin Skywalker, who's supposed to be the quote unquote greatest force wielder, whatever, of
Mhm.
all time, right? And you see them as the pinnacle, and this is the limit of their skills, right? And then they go into the next movies, and not only is it just a little bit above, but it's so far above with so many new powers that you've never seen before. I can't even fathom how that still makes sense in the current universe, because the Force is not something that just grows new powers, right?
Yeah.
It you could argue that hypothetically those powers already existed with the Force, right?
Mhm.
That Rey's able to just jump into someone else's universe and start slashing people and whatnot out of nowhere. Um, and you can go back to lore and try to argue some of those things or not, or force projections or whatever. But
Mhm.
I think it's very hard to claim completely new power after completely new power after completely new power over and over again and still be a believable story.
Yeah.
So you really have to set the boundaries for what the world is and the building of the that world, and then stay within those bounds relatively. You can break a couple rules, and when you do that, you can create that intrigue, that suspense. Maybe something existed that we didn't
Mhm.
know existed before, things like that. But you can't abuse that. And there was a sense in which they abused that, such
Mhm.
as saying, "Oh, no one can know where Exeter is," and then they are able to just fly there instantly, or fly to the right planet and say, "I had a feeling," or the Force, or whatever, and you say, "Shut up! I don't want to hear it again." um,
Mhm.
or hyperspace hopping, which is the stupidest rule violation. This is the clearest world building violation I could think of. Okay, do you know in episode 4 they do a long series of calculations to try to escape the Death Star for one, and to jump into the Alderaan system. Right, this is not a simple thing to jump through hyperspace. They show it's very meticulous and it's very complicated. And if you get one thing wrong, this is literally what Han Solo says. If you get one thing wrong, you're gonna lop right into an asteroid or into another planet or whatever. So, based on the rules they set out for how hyperdrives and hyperspace works, the idea of hyperspace hopping, or whatever it was in episode 9 at the very beginning, where they're going boom, hyperspace boom, second after second after second, is just fundamentally against the rules they had set out previously. And they just, especially if you see what they were jumping through, which was like literal glaciers. So
Mhm.
that's enough about that, because I will go on a much further rant when I actually
Yeah.
review that movie. But suffice it to say, there is a whole lot of BS in 7, 8, and
No,
9
yeah. Yeah. I agree with
because
the
of this.
point.
Because of this.